Hello everyone, welcome to the deep dive to the intro of the Brazilian show titled Genesis. Let's jump right in. So we start by getting two stars that are colliding with each other that create a big bang, possibly alluding to the Big Bang Theory itself. Then we get a book which is open with light shining out of it, and then when it's closed we get to see the title of this book, which says Biblia Sagrada, which can be translated into Holy Bible. Then we get a dynamic transition showing angels falling from the sky, which leads to the following scene of dinosaurs roaming the earth and a meteor strike in the background. Of course, this is referencing the extinction of these prehistoric creatures. Then we get a fossilized Tyrannosaurus Rex on this sort of rock in this museum-like setting. Then we get lava forming this sort of shape that looks like a heart. Then we're shown the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is decorated in white leaves and blue fruits. We'll get into the significance of the color. Then the next shot is we get two hands which are reaching out for the fruit. The one on the right is a more thicker and manly hand. We can identify that one as Adam's hand, and the other one is more delicate, more thinner. This is of course Eve's hand. Now let's talk about the color of the fruit. It's blue, and biblically blue represents something sacred. You see, the high priests in the temple in the time of Moses, they also wore blue as a form of connection to the law of God, something that was sacred. And so in the same, it's referencing that this tree is also sacred. And then we get a transition to a shot of Noah's Ark going through the waters of the flood. Then we have a sharp transition to that museum setting once again, which is showing us a stone tablet with cuneiform text. And this specific tablet is actually dedicated to the goddess Ninsun. Now, who is Ninsun? Well, a short little history. Ninsun is the mother of Gilgamesh. And so I know that in this show we're going to see the city of Ur, where Abraham grew up, and where God actually ultimately calls him out of. And in that city, Gilgamesh was one of the gods that was worshipped. And of course, Ninsun being the mother, she would obviously have been worshipped at the time as well. Now we get a shot of what was under that stone tablet, and is this miniature version of the city of Ur. Now, there's many sort of names that you could call the city. In the Bible, it's actually called Ur the Chaldeans, or just the city of Ur. For simplicity, I'll just call it Ur. Then we get another artifact from the city of Ur, and this piece is called War and Peace, ironically. And in the bottom lane, it shows some chariots and some warriors. In the middle lane, we get some beheadings of either slaves or fallen soldiers. And then in the top one, we get a monarch, maybe the king itself, lifting up a staff, and many others to the right are bowing or being reverent towards him, while on the left we either have soldiers or an army. Then the next artifact is actually a board for a game called the Royal Game of Ur. This specific model, of course, it's so glamorous, it was used by the people in the palace. And on the bottom left we have the dice, in the middles we have the coins, or should I say points, and then on the bottom right is the counting sticks. And then, of course, the main attraction is the board itself. Then we get the shot of Queen Pumbai's headdress, and this is a recreation of the queen at the time in the city of Ur. Then we get a downward spiral shot of this sort of tower, and then we're exiting from the bottom and we get to see the structure itself. And this, without a doubt, is the Tower of Babel. And then we get another stone tablet which depicts how you would worship Gilgamesh, the god of the time. And then we get a swift transition of some manuscripts that are floating around, and then of some that are organized. And the ones that are organized at the right are Egyptian hieroglyphics, and to the left is a piece of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Next to that is some other Hebrew writings. Then next to that is Greek writings, and at the bottom is actually Arabic writings. All these writings are just telling you that there is a unified story within all these other languages that tell this story of Genesis. Then we get another transition to this statue, or at least the top part of the statue. And when I tried searching what the statue really was, there was just a bunch of theories. Possibly someone will see in the show. I've seen the show already, and there was no one dressed like this. There's another theory this might be a sculpture of Joseph. Like I said, it's a theory, and do I believe it? Not really. I will be paying attention more in the show if I do see someone dressed like this or similar to this. The writings at the bottom of that statue are so tiny, I couldn't understand what it was. But, like I said, this is something we might see in the show. And then we get the shot that we're in between some Egyptian sarcophaguses, and at the bottom end we have Egyptian art. This could be alluding to either both times we get to see Egypt in the show, with Abraham or with Joseph. Then the next shot we get a circular object with various pieces around it which have images. Now let's dive into each image. The bottom one is of a donkey. This is of course telling us the form of transportation we get to see most of the characters use throughout the show. The one to the right is a high priest breastplate, or otherwise called a choshin, and this is something that was only worn by the high priest. Then the next one is of a lion. This could possibly be a symbolism of creation. Then the next one is of a war tent. This specific war tent is a design of the people of Ur, of course another connection to the city we will mostly get to see in the show. The next image we get is of a mountain goat with long horns. Now these long horns are significant later on in the show, which are used by the high priest as well as a form of calling to the people, and of course as a battle cry. The next one we get of weighted scales. This was an ancient transactional tool that was used both in Egypt and we could assume in the city of Ur as well. Then we get a fortified entrance. The next one is of a wolf. Of course, this is another reference to the story of creation. Then the next one is without a doubt a reference to creation. We get the sun and water, which we'll get to see be created in the show. Then the next is a boat with two sails. This could either be a reference to Noah's Ark, but I don't see this specific image of a ship being used throughout the whole show. Then we get again the tree of knowledge of good and evil once again, and right next to that, the last image is of some sheaves of wheat. This is without a doubt a reference to one of Joseph's dreams, which he tells his father and his brothers. And then we get the letters that construct the title of this show, Genesis. And last but not least, the song that accompanies the whole intro is titled Começo de Tudo, which translates to how it all began. And this is a very catchy song in my opinion, and it helps this sort of revealing each piece that we get to see throughout the whole show. Now that we did a semi-analysis of the intro, you can go back and watch the episode in its full capacity, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.